Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our Graduate Power. Tonight, we will be talking about the Advanced Certificate in Applied Digital Forensic Science. I'm Maria D'Agostino. I'm the Faculty Associate Dean in Graduate Studies. And tonight, we are very fortunate to have Dr. Shweta Jain. She is the Associate Professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science. She is the co-director of the Digital Forensics and Cybersecurity Program at John Jay and a doctoral faculty of computer science at the Graduate Center of the City University of New York. And her research focuses on wireless networks and security. And we also have one of our alums, Vincent Mastromarco. He began his career as an electrical engineer and was developing software when he decided to join a software company as a sales engineer. In selling security software at Imperva, Vincent presents a balance of software technology capabilities and business benefits to prospective clients. Vincent completed his John Jay certificate in applied digital forensic science in 2019, and he just earned the certificate, the Certified Information Systems Security Professional Certification. Congratulations, Vincent. Thank you for joining us this evening. So why don't we start with you with the first question? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to the advanced certificate?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent Mastromarco. I started out as an electrical engineer when out of undergrad college, and I quickly moved to writing a whole bunch of programs. So I ended up working at a software company, and I really was not concerned in what role I would get into software company. So I took whatever job was available to me, and it was to be a pre-sales engineer. So it's a technologist role where I assist account executives position software solutions to prospective clients and existing customers. And I've stayed in that role pretty much ever since. Now, what brought me to John Jay College was I ended up at a software company that the technology was more security oriented, and I needed to backfill my security knowledge. And I'm a New York State resident, so I was looking around for, where can I get an education that would be at a good price, and it would fit my schedule. So the graduate certificate was ideal because it was one night a week, so it didn't interfere with my job at all. And it was 4 courses, so it was something that I can get done in a timely manner. And the courses themselves were exactly the type of information, that I needed to backfill in my background. So I've since moved on to my current job, and all of our software that we sell is security oriented. So the graduate certificate made me an ideal fit to be a pre-sales engineer in my current job. And then on top of all that, the course material also helped me pass that professional certification that I just got it's called a CISSP, CISSP, and it's not an academic certification, but it's a worldwide recognized professional security certification. And John Jay College, the course material made it that much easier for me to prep for that exam.
That's great. I'm glad you found John Jay, Vincent. So, Shweta, Dr. Jain, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the advanced certificate in applied digital forensic science and how it has been designed to serve current companies and agencies?
So this certificate is it has four classes that like Vincent says, and it is meant for people who have a technology background such as electrical engineering that Vincent had, and software engineering and anything related to computer science. Doesn't have to be core computer science, but it should be in a technology area. And then there are 4 classes. One is on secure operating system. Then there is one on network security, and that goes into network forensics and digital forensics. Evidence management class called forensic management of digital evidence. So essentially you get the security and forensics, digital forensics curriculum, which can be covered in 2 semesters or 3 or 4 semesters at your own pace. So it really is for professionals who are working in the field and they need the security knowledge to implement cybersecurity in the technology behind it in their companies, or like be able to talk to customers about security.
It sounds like it was tailor-made for Vincent. So,
It was. It was.
Vincent, that's great. So how can you talk a little bit more about, you alluded to it before with the first question, but how John Jay and the certificate prepared you for your career, maybe a specific course, specific professors, or I don't know if you did any kind of internship or anything else.
Yeah. So going to John Jay, I already had 2 master's degrees going in. I had a master's in electrical engineering along with my bachelor's, and I also had my MBA in information systems from IU in Manhattan. So the 2 courses I took with Professor Jain, one was on operating systems, and as I was mentioning on my previous response, I mean, was the stuff on the computer, the operating system architecture stuff and vulnerabilities in operating systems. It was like a perfect match for some of the material that I needed to prep for my professional certification. And then I also took network security with Professor Jain, and that stuff, no matter what direction you go in security, whether it's cybersecurity or whether you're going to be managing like a network, it is just the core stuff that any person in this field, no matter which tangent you go in, you got to have. Then I took network forensics after that, which was really pertinent to what I do now, where we're doing vulnerability assessments and penetration testing. If that's your kind of thing, then that class is fantastic because it's giving you hands-on experience before you're even doing it in your full-time job. And then the last course I took, because it was going to fit my schedule in a timely manner, was on computer law related stuff. So it was all about Fourth Amendment and the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. And that comes in really handy, like in just general knowledge and being in the technology field, much where I consider my MBA to be very handy information working for a technology company. So it's the gamut of all 4 courses for someone like myself who already, like if you already have a master's degree, it's so perfect. I would recommend, if you're going to John Jay to get these graduate classes and you don't have a master's degree, if I remember at the time when I was there, you can go through a stepping stone process. You can go for the graduate certificate first and then continue on to get the master's, which I highly recommend if you don't already have a master's.
Thanks so much for sharing your insight, Vincent. So, Professor Jain, we know that you're one of the professors that teaches the courses in the certificate program. Could you tell us a little bit more about who else teaches in the program? Are they, okay.
Sure. Yeah. So we have full-time faculty as well as professionals who come from practitioners who come from industry to teach our classes. So full-time faculty are teaching like a cryptography class, then network forensics, and we have people from the DA's office or from companies, cybersecurity companies around here, from banks, like we also get CISOs from banks and other companies to come and teach our cyber risk assessment class. We have a lawyer teaching the law and high-tech crime class. So it's a mix of full-time faculty as well as professionals and practitioners.
Thank you, Shweta. Vincent, what would you say your biggest takeaway from obtaining the certificate has been?
Just the applicability of the material to my profession and my career. It's totally, it's more than being complimentary. I would be set back a little bit had I not gone through the graduate certificate program.
Thank you. And so, Shweta, you talked a little bit about the professors. Beyond the typical courses, what other activities do you believe are most beneficial to students completing their certificate in those courses?
So the certificate is a short, it's four course certificate. So one of the things I would recommend is making networking with other students in the class. So they will be your friends for a long time, and you'll know them. And because they're also working professionals, you expand your network, and in terms of job shift, getting another position somewhere else, and so on. The other thing is we had some of our students get together to form a club, and as part of the club they would hold seminars and events such like with tabletop exercises on digital forensics and cybersecurity. So those are just outside activities which students get together and do, attend seminars and form a network.
Great. And is that club just for current students, or is that also for alums once you finish the program, or?
So the alums who finish the program have stayed in touch with each other through a Slack channel. And yeah, so they exchange some current information now and then, and I send out recruitment information whenever I find, or seminar information that I find, I send out. So they've stayed in touch, but the club itself it has to be run by current students, but alumni are always welcome. And in fact, they come to contribute.
Okay. And just as a follow-up question too, where would you say most of the students find jobs, those that get this certificate?
So there's been a variety of public and private companies that where our students have gone to. Advanced certificate students already have a job, and they're just preparing themselves for to learn their security material they need for their job. So they're doing professional development.
Mm-hmm.
But after graduation from the master's, our students go into different companies. We have somebody in Google, or somebody's in, there are a lot of people who go to Cyber Command and state jobs and city agencies, NYPD, forensic labs, and so on. But from the certificate, it's really, they already have their job and they're into professional development.
Great. Thank you, Shweta. And so, Vincent, so sort of if you could give one piece of advice to students that are thinking of completing the advanced certificate, what would it be?
And it's okay. For the advanced certificate,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't worked as a technologist, I would make sure you pursue, as you get the certificate, to get into the technology first. Like, for example, like myself, I was an engineer first before I went into before I became a sales engineer. So that gives you like this foundation, which you having that technology hands-on to the job, you carry that wherever you go. You know, whether you end up going to marketing, or like myself, sales engineer, or we have folks that go into product management, or they just stay as technologists. So that would be my advice. If along with getting the graduate certificate, to get that hands-on experience with the technology on your resume.
So the practitioner experience as the foundation before getting the certificate.
No, well, I mean, you can do it together, but what I'm saying is, if you want to eventually aspire to get into marketing or something like that, you're going to be miles ahead on just having an intuition because you put in your time with hands-on with the technology.
That makes sense. Thank you, Vincent. And so the same question for you, Dr. Jane. If you could give one piece of advice to students who are thinking of completing the advanced certificate, what would that be?
So I would say that if you have the technology background, then you should go for the advanced certificate, because our courses are very heavily technology oriented. So it is not for non-STEM student, for example, if they haven't done any computer networks or computer programming or algorithm classes, then this certificate turns out to be very hard.
Great. That's all. So thank you so much for joining in the conversation today about the advanced certificate in applied digital forensic science. I've certainly learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers have. And if there are questions, you could reach out to Dr. Jane, who's the director of the advanced certificate, with questions. And it seems as if there is a Slack channel where students that are currently enrolled and alums continue to talk to each other. I think that's fantastic in terms of networking. So that's an added plus. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.